Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Johanna. For those of you who are new, welcome, and for those of you who are returning, welcome back. If you are interested in how to DIY your own Happy Notes micro book, then stay tuned. Now, about a week or two ago, and I'll actually put the date up during the clip that I'm going to be inserting in just a second, I had seen something on Instagram where someone had shown a little picture of the little micro note, happy note thing. We don't have Joann's or Michael's here in Hawaii, so that isn't anything that I'll ever be able to purchase at a store that I can go to. So I thought, you know, I have little mini composition books. I have little mini notebooks in my stash because I do crafting. So I had put together a video, and I actually shot that twice, of how to put one utilizing one of those. And the reason I never uploaded it was it wasn't so much the film quality was bad, but at the end of it, you could really tell that I was frustrated by the process and that I was just over it. And so that's the reason why I never uploaded that video. And I'll actually insert a quick clip here. I did some mock-ups here of some little, I think they just recently released, I had never heard of them, but they have the little micro books, the notebooks that Happy Planner is releasing, and I think they're through Joann's, I'm not sure. I've compiled a bunch of things. What I'm going to be using in this video tutorial is these cards, and I'll tell you why in just a minute, or in a few minutes. I've got some washi here. Now these came as a set. Now the majority of the things that I have, I either get at Walmart, because I do have a Walmart close to me, or I get on Amazon, and these I got from Walmart, and they come in a tube like this, and I want to say this is $2.14. Now this isn't required or critical in making of it, but I will explain why I have these out once I get into it. You will need some happy rings. I just had these little mini ones in my stash. You could use the classic or the expander ones depending on what size notebook you wanted to make. I don't know if I'll be using this, but I also had this in my stash. This is from Walmart as well, and it is $2.14. I'm assuming the prices are standard across the Walmarts, but that's how much I paid. I might use this mostly because it has note paper, lined note paper, but I don't remember how much this was. I want to say it was like $4 and something, and I apologize for the crinkling. But I like it because it's got these, it's a little bit thicker than cardstock, but they've got these cute dividers that came with it that you could certainly cut down. And I think I must have had some extra dividers and something else, because I don't think it came with all of these. Yeah. So, and then it has all of the folder paper. So I'll keep this to the side if I want to include this as well. I only have actually white cardstock. I don't have regular copier paper because I use the cardstock when I'm doing my backings for the charms that I make that go along with the traveler's notebooks that I have. So I might utilize this as well. If you have copy paper, then that's just as good. I also have a bunch of scraps, again, because I do traveler's notebooks. I always get the offcuts that I never know what to do with, and this would be great not only as covers if you wanted to do the laminating route. There is an alternative that I'll actually be showing in this video, but I think this would make great inserts. So if you were doing memory keeping or whatever, you could do it in a theme, like for Christmas, for wedding, anniversary. Just print little pictures and put it on here, and you could have your own little mini scrapbook that already has really colorful coordinated paper. So that might be a good use of scrap paper. Or if you get these 6x6 pads, and this one was gifted to me, but they there is an actual local craft store that sells these, this would be the perfect size, because based on what I've seen, the dimensions on the micro happy notes on the Joanne website that I went to for that original video, the notebook, and I'm assuming the paper itself, is 3 by 4. So if you have a bunch of these 6 by 6 pads, then that would be a great use of that as well. But for our purposes, we're going to do these cards. And so I got this from TJ Maxx. Now, if you have a Dollar Tree and they sell these card sets, or if you can get these card sets at your local craft store for a lot cheaper, then I mean, the cheaper you can make this, the better. For me, I actually was using this for another craft that I did and that I have in my Etsy shop. And for me, that price was good because, again, the availability of things like this is just extremely limited here on Island. So I will just pick 4 or 5 of these cards. And they all coordinate, so it doesn't really matter which one I choose. And the way that I'm envisioning this is I will need to cut it down because it is too big, or at least I think it is. I'm going to measure it in just a second. And my inserts I will have smaller than my cover. Now, this is a good weight of a paper, but I'm actually going to cover this in clear contact paper so that if you do not have a laminator, you can still get a little bit more protection from this, but not have to invest in a laminator, because a laminator is the one that I purchased. I got from Target for like $25, and then you also have to purchase the laminating sheets, the roll of contact paper, and it's just clear contact paper. It's clear matte. I don't know that they have glossy, but this is what I have. This was a roll for, I think it was like $6 from Walmart, and there is so much left, and I've used this for quite a bit of projects. So again, if you wanted to make it a little bit more durable, that's one way to do it without having to need a laminator. I also have the big pink Happy Planner punch, but for this purpose, I'm just going to use a single hole, because again, if you're looking to do this on a budget, or if you don't have these materials, you can see that it'll be just as easy to put one of these together with just some simple tools. Because again, if you just have some copy paper, one of these, a file folder, or some cards, or maybe even some cards that are recycled that you received, I mean, again, you can use what you have and you can create one of these on a budget. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out what I want my cover to be. And I think it's going to be this one, only because this is the only one that has writing on it. So for these, I am going to leave intact, because the whole purpose I want for this is that I want it to flip open. But I do want to cut it down to size. Now, you certainly don't need a paper cutter. You could just use scissors and a ruler and a pencil just to mark out the measurements. But I am horrible at cutting a straight line. So this is the only concession to the non-budget thing that I'll be using. So I want it to be 3 that way and 4 that way. So we'll cut it short. And then we'll cut the height. And so all of my inserts will be this big, and then I will cut the cover just a little bit bigger than that. And I'll just fast forward through this process. Now the reason I was hesitating on the cover is I needed to be a little bit bigger, but because the way the writing is on it, I actually wanted it to be this way versus the original this way. But it was tall enough so that I should have a nice border, or a little bit of a border around. And then I also needed to take into account that I will be punching the side, so if need be I can always cut it down if it is too long, but I did want it to be a little bit longer than it might necessarily need to be. So there's that, and that will be the back cover. I'm just gonna eyeball that. Now this is not the reason I have the washi tape out, but it's here, so I will use it because I do want to try to make this centered. Actually, I think I'll hold off on this one and I'll work on these first. And you could measure top and bottom, and you could make sure that it's perfectly aligned, but I don't want to. I don't know if I'll be able to do this. So we're lining the top there, and we're just going to fold this over. Now with the hole punch, what I do is I line the top of that to the top of this rather than marking it with a pen or whatever. And that way I can be reasonably assured that I'm cutting it at the right size. Now before I got my big happy punch, this is how I do it, and when I make my dashboard covers for the mini traveler's notebook, traveler's style notebook covers that I make, and I'll link that video below if you don't know what I mean. I still do this because I've read that some people have a lot of luck with using their big happy punch to punch through laminate, and I've heard people who've broken theirs, and it's not cheap, and I had to have it shipped from Amazon, so I strictly just stick to paper. So as you can see, it isn't exactly the umbrella shape, but I can tell you this works just fine. Okay, so these are my inserts. So we're halfway there, maybe a little more than halfway there. And I actually, before I punch this, I'm going to put the contact paper on it. And if you've never used this, I believe the original, well actually I don't know what the original intent of this was for, but you can find it in the shelf liner section of your local Walmart or Target, because they actually sell this as Target as well. I don't know why you would line your shelves in clear plastic unless it was really nice wood, but yeah. I don't know why people purchase this for things other than crafting. And if you do, let me know in the comments below, because I'm quite curious now. So what I do, and before I had a laminator, I had attempted at laminating my traveler's notebooks with this, just to give it, again, a little bit more durability. But it's very soft, so it does not give you the rigidness that a laminated sheet does. And so I quickly did away with that idea. And what I do is I stick it down to the mat, and this is just a poster board. I think it's just easier to see, although it does move. But I just stick it to there, and then I just use a Sephora card just to buff it so that there is no bubbles. I don't need all of that, so I will cut that away. And then I will peel it up. And what I'll do is, because I do want to protect the edges, I will just cut a little and it's not even a straight triangle, it's sort of curved, and I'll show you why in a minute, on all 4 sides. And I am doing it before I punch the holes, just so that I try to get it as reinforced as possible. And the reason why you cut it out of a little bit of a circle, so that when you fold it in, it doesn't take up so much bulk, because you're not really trying to make a mitered corner where everything lines up exactly. You're just really trying to lessen the bulk of that while still giving you as much contact area as possible. And you just work it in on all of the sides. Again, mostly for the air bubble aspect, because you don't want them. It's ugly, it doesn't hurt it. If you have a bone folder, that would work as well. But I just like that it's a long surface and that's bendable. And because it's matte, you won't be able to see that it's covered. It doesn't make it rigid. It's still very bendy, but it is now waterproof, at least the cover is. If you covered the back completely, then the whole cover would be waterproof. But it does just make it more resistant to wear and tear. Eventually this will get all gunky as well, but you know, it is more protected than if you had just used it as a standalone. So for this one, because I do want it to have top and bottom there, I will, yeah, and it's okay that there's that much. I will be using one of these, and then just trying to carefully punch, and hopefully this works. And I didn't use the washi just because of laziness, but you could washi down the side just so you don't have to hold it as firmly, but it worked just as well with me just holding it. So just to lessen the amount of steps. And again, if you have the Big Happy Punch, definitely, well, and if you have the Big Happy Punch and you're doing the exact same thing I'm doing, this may actually still be too thick to be inserted in, so you may just want to do this method. But again, test that out. Just make sure you don't break your punch, because again, even if you get them at Michael's or whatever and you have a coupon, it's still kind of an investment for a hole punch. And then final is this here. right, guys, we are getting there. So we've got her rings. And normally if you were putting together a happy planner, you would start with the front and back cover. But because these are double in width, because it's folded over, these are actually sturdier than the covers will be. So we'll put these on. Doesn't matter the order. Oh, this one has writing too. And that. And then we'll put the front cover on and the back cover on. And for demonstration purposes, I'm going to cut this. So that's an insert from the No Drama Llama. And I'm not saying do this, because you can actually use just copy paper or whatever, but I didn't have one next to me, so we'll just utilize this, because there is a reason I'm doing this. Okay, so you've got your little cute notebook. So why did we use these little cards here? Here's the thing. Now you certainly can do this on a bigger scale. But the reason why I have these the way that I have them is if you use washi and a piece of paper, this can become one of those index cards, flip note, study things. So hale in Hawaiian means house or hut. And the reason I'm not writing it directly in here is because then I can just take it in and out as I would need to study different words. Now, of course, just like with the Big Happy Planner or the Classic or the Mini, it is easier to do just on its own. So, Ohana. And if you've ever watched Lilo and Stitch, you know what Ohana means. But Ohana is the Hawaiian word for family. Now, as I mentioned in the beginning, Tamra from the Paper and Pen Girl is doing this Happy Note series with a bunch of other ladies on YouTube in the planning community. And one I just saw, I want to say it's Planning with Eve, but I'll link it below because I'll have to look at the video that I watched. She kind of inspired me for this idea because her daughters have made their own, and I thought that was a cute idea because I don't know that I'm actually ever going to use something this small. I already put my mini in my purse, so you know I don't actually need this, but I wanted to see if I could do one. And then with the invitation from Tamra, I definitely wanted to see, well, how can I do one that's different from the two that I've seen them do, but also is functional in a different way. So I think this is a cute idea. Again, you could use note cards like I have. You could just use regular paper. And again, when you're done with that set of words, you just take it off and you still have your book, and you can go through the next set of vocabulary words or whatever. And this is cute for a child to make and take with them. They can make it their own. It's portable, and the supplies are very easily accessible and budget friendly. Because again, if you can get all of these things at the dollar store, even though it might cost you $5 to get paper and things, and if you have the rings, you could theoretically make a lot with your supplies and still get your money's worth versus trying to hunt one of these down at Joann's or Michael's. All right, guys, so this is my little DIY micro happy note taking book. And again, I think it's a great idea if you utilize note cards in order to do a flashcard type of situation, and you can make this as big or as little as you wanted. And because it is quite big, you could actually have a bigger piece of paper typed in or taped in, and you could have definitions, you could have notes on things that you're studying. Again, I think this has a good application in that sense. So from me to you, as always, aloha.